right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A baby dies at an in-home daycare. Why police say it should have never been open in the first place.
The heat is here to stay. The humidity increases even more tomorrow. Plus, I'll time out when we'll see a line of showers and storms.
The family of a school shooter said they made many calls for help.
Officers did not have any lawful authority to seize or take any firearms.
Now we're getting a look at body camera video of a call to the gunman's home just days before the deadly CVPA shooting. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. Kelly Jackson has the night off. Orlando Harris was 19 years old when he opened fire at CVPA in October 2022. Tonight we have new information about the day that a student and teacher were killed and many others were injured. Brent Solomon joins us from the newsroom. Brent?
Well, Mike, the video you're about to see shows police responding to the shooter's home days before he carried out the deadly attack at CVPA. His own worried family made the call. A Missouri lawmaker says if the state had what's known as a red flag law, police could have intervened right then and there and confiscated his gun.
The front door, I guess the side door is like the back.
On October 15th, 2022, St. Louis police body camera video shows officers arriving at the home of 19-year-old Orlando Harris. His own mother worried he had just bought a rifle.
Depression, he tried to commit suicide 3 times.
Is he on medication?
He was taking medication, but I don't know if he stopped taking the medication.
Officers chat with Harris, who made it clear he had just spent money to get the gun he wanted.
You know,
spent my money, man.
Hold on.
In the end, officers have no choice but to leave.
You want to own a firearm, you're an American, you're over 18, you're allowed to have a firearm if you want a firearm.
9 days later, the former Central Visual and Performing Arts high student showed up to the school, shooting and killing a classmate and a teacher. 4 others were hurt. Shortly after the tragedy, our political editor Mark Maxwell questioned the governor about the state's lack of a red flag law. That's a measure that Illinois has in place, giving police the means to confiscate a gun if someone shows signs of being a threat to themselves or to others.
All the red flags were there. Why weren't the red flag laws?
I mean, the red flag laws have never been in place in Missouri. You know, you're still talking about somebody with a mental illness that went into it and committed a criminal act.
You can empathize with the mother who is saying that something's going on. She's pointing out the vest.
Senator Carla May tried to get a red flag law passed this session. She says her counterparts didn't give it a chance.
But I think it's our responsibility as lawmakers to give police the tools they need to do their job. But we also failed that mother and also the families that had to go through the tragedy of this shooting.
The shooter first tried to buy a gun from a dealer in St. Charles, but a FBI background check blocked it. He then went to a private seller. As of now, only certain people in Missouri can have their gun confiscated. Convicted felons, habitual drug users, or those who are actually deemed mentally incompetent through the courts.
Gunfire erupted in the small town of Lost Nation, Illinois this morning, leaving 3 law enforcement officers wounded and the community in shock. Lost Nation is in Ogle County in northern Illinois. Police were responding to a call saying there was someone threatening to kill himself and others at a home there. We're told they tried to make contact, placing more than 50 calls to a person inside the home. Then when police tried to enter the home, the suspect opened fire on them. 3 officers were struck. The suspect was also hit by gunfire. All of them were transported to a local hospital.
It's odd because the area is safe. We've never had anything like this happen before. We've been here quite a few years, and it's just odd to come home and here's the lockdown, police officers.
The conditions of the officers and the suspect in the shooting, they have not been released. The Illinois State Police has been put in charge of the investigation. Tonight, a man in St. Charles County is charged with murder and the death of an on-again, off-again boyfriend of a woman he had just started dating. Police say Carlos Hood shot and killed Leon Anderson around 10:30 last night in Wentzville. A woman told police she was in the home with Hood when Anderson broke in. She and Anderson started to argue. That's when Hood grabbed a gun and shot and killed Anderson. Hood then took off. He was caught a short time later. Today, police arrested a St. Louis County woman for the death of a baby they say died months ago at her unlicensed home daycare in Florissant. Tonight, the suspect sits in the county jail in Clayton, and that's where we find our Robert Townsend. Robert.
Mike, Judy Fields is the suspect's name. She's charged with endangering the welfare of a child at her home daycare. Prosecutors tell me that daycare should have never been open. In February, it was a startling scene for people in this Florissant neighborhood to see.
I remember chaos, a bunch of screaming.
And a bunch of police cars, and they were out front pointing to the house.
Police and paramedics rushed to Judy Fields' home daycare on DeBerg Lane after getting an emergency call that a 4-month-old baby was unresponsive.
She met the paramedics at the door, and then she came out screaming and stuff. She was actually holding the baby.
Neighbor Ramona Butler says the baby's frantic parents then arrived.
Parents screaming and crying, and I remember her being really scared. And it was crazy.
Paramedics rushed the infant to Christian Northwest Hospital, where he later died. The medical examiner says the baby suffocated due to the way he was positioned.
That's what I heard her saying, that she had him in a swing. She came back to check on him, and he wasn't breathing.
Investigators say Fields did not live here, but rented the house and was watching 16 children by herself and operating a daycare illegally without a state license. By law, Fields should not have had more than 10 children under 13 years old.
It was very heartbreaking because I didn't know that she wasn't licensed and my daughter was due to go to her daycare. She charged $75 a week for one kid.
Fields is charged with endangering the welfare of a child resulting in death. In a statement, County Prosecutor Wesley Bell said it is of the utmost importance for parents to do their due diligence regarding child care providers and do our best to ensure that tragedies like this never happen.
Shocked and heartbroken. Yeah, just so young.
I think about it a lot, and my condolences to them because it's sad.
Tonight, Fields is locked up in jail on a $100,000 cash-only bond. Live in Clayton, Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Well, today really felt like summer in the St. Louis area, hot and humid, and those days are going to continue. Meteorologist Jim Castillo joins me now with how hot it's going to get in the coming days.
Yeah, Mike, 91 today, and it looks like for weeks this 90-plus weather is going to stay with us. So we'll have a couple of fronts come in, one with a chance of storms tomorrow night, but really this heat isn't going to break. So the Cardinals play tomorrow. Look at the heat index at 4 p.m. So at the end of the game, because it's a day game, we're talking 98 in St. Louis at 4 o'clock, Shiloh 96, the way it feels, and 99 in Chesterfield. The actual temperature will be well into the 90s. 82 right now, south wind at about 8, and that low tonight, just about 70 in St. Louis, 60s outside of the city, and the south wind picks up a little bit tonight. There's a heat advisory for Kansas City to Wichita tomorrow, 1 to 8 p.m. We're also watching storms to the north that may drift our way tomorrow night. I'll have a little bit more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim. Last month, we told you about the Missouri State Auditor's failed efforts to get in touch with former St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. That's because he's finalizing a report looking into the prosecutor's office when she was in charge. Today, Kim Gardner finally met with the Missouri State Auditor. Scott Fitzpatrick's office confirms the meeting did happen. They did not disclose what they discussed. The Missouri's Auditor's office has been investigating Gardner since 2021. She resigned last year. Congresswoman Cori Bush shared an update with new numbers she says proves she brought back big gains to St. Louis. This just days after we questioned her claim that she delivered $2 billion to the area. Bush's revised claim altered the initial number she gave to 5 on Your Side. In May, the Congresswoman appeared to admit that some funds are general funds that everyone gets, a distinction made by 5 on Your Side's Mark Maxwell.
People assume that some of these funds just automatically come because you are a congressional district. They do not. We have to fight for some of these dollars, for a lot of these dollars. For millions of these dollars, we have to actually fight. And for our office, it's been tens of millions of dollars that we fought for that was not just given to our district.
But some of the billboards claiming she brought back $2 billion came down after our story ran. When asked to explain why, the campaign did not respond. Tonight, residents in North St. Louis County got to hear from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers about their efforts to clean up radioactive waste, including their most recent cleanup at Jana Elementary. Our Laura Barczewski talked with elected officials and affected families at tonight's meeting.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been working to clean up radioactive waste in several areas of St. Louis City and County. It's a product of St. Louis's role in building atomic weapons. Colonel Andy Paneer says over the last few years, they've received millions of dollars in additional funding, allowing them to do more.
We've been able to increase the size of our lab facility. We've been able to bring more contractors on site. And that allows us to do what we're going to see here, which is simultaneous operations today, so we can have multiple projects going on at one time.
Recently, Paneer says they've been able to remove 850,000 cubic yards of waste from areas like under the McDonald Bridge, which will also be rebuilt. Right next to it, work is being done on what used to be the ball fields. This is all across from the St. Louis Airport site. Running right near these sites and all through North St. Louis County is Coldwater Creek, which is one of the biggest issues to tackle. These families are still suffering from cancers and illnesses caused by radioactive waste.
I have over 30 now illnesses, from a brain tumor to lesions on my spleen and liver and kidney. I've lost 5 children.
My husband Jim lives on blood transfusions now. He is dying slowly of 4 different cancers related to being exposed to the creek.
The families and even local officials who've been affected by radioactive waste have major concerns about these signs the Army Corps of Engineers wants to put up all along Coldwater Creek, saying they don't signal the true danger of what was left behind decades ago.
What do you think would be better to warn people that there's a danger? This or that simple t-shirt?
The government has known, and we are asking for the government to step up and make right the damage that has been going on for decades.
Reporting in Florissant, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Next steps for the area, the Army Corps says they will focus on cleanup in the Cades Cove neighborhood in Florissant. And advocates from North County were back in Washington, D.C. today. Just Moms STL was campaigning for compensation for victims of radioactive waste. They were hoping to get a meeting with House Speaker Mike Johnson today. Senator Josh Hawley joined the advocates, criticizing the Speaker for not taking the meeting. The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, also called RECA, expired last week. Advocates like Just Moms STL are hoping the House will prioritize a version of RECA that would provide compensation for affected people in our area.
An accident causes mail to be rerouted.
It is in fact closed because of a mercury spill.
How long it will take crews to clean it up.
Boy, that heat really ramped up today. Then the humidity is even higher for tomorrow. Plus, I'll time out when we could see this line of showers and storms.
She's one of the youngest athletes on Team USA, and it's only fueling her fight.
How much do you want it?
The focused fencer eager to win gold in Paris.